following program is brought to you by your friends at Podcast One.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me at the Supernatural News Desk, Mr. Tim Dennis. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Another week has passed, my friend, and another slot of strange news has cropped up around the world. I see that we've got quite a few different stories and quite a few different milieus. Huh? You like that word?
Milieus? Mm-hmm. Someone's been using the thesaurus.
The what?
The thesaurus.
The what?
The thesaurus.
Is there another word to describe what you're talking about?
The thesaurus.
Is that kind of a dinosaur that was into English language?
No, it's a book we use when we're looking for alternate words. Yeah.
Oh, is that what we're doing now?
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with that. Now, you guys, just to remind you, Darkness Radio, Beyond the Darkness, will now be on Saturdays and Sundays. Every week we will be delivering you supernatural news, Parashare, and then we'll have a guest on Sundays along with Theater of the Mind. So you can continue to listen to the best in paranormal talk radio right here on Podcast One. So with that said, if you're interested in a more expanded genre of paranormal and fringe anomalous talk radio, you can follow me on Midnight in the Desert Monday through Friday, and just check out midnightinthedesert.com, where I'll be hosting 5 days a week there. Then on the weekends here with Timmy D, so we continue to have the fun and bring the silliness and our unique blend to the show. And then of course we'll always be going on with True Crime Tuesday as well, so you can continue to listen to all of the great shows, working 8 days a week. That's all it is, just 8 days a week. Make sure you stick with us on all of this. We've got a lot of supernatural news to start off with, so I'm going to just shut up and let Tim launch. Where are we going to begin today's journey, Tim?
The Jersey Shore, Dave.
The Jersey Shore?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Well, let me rub in my tanning oil and slick back my nose hair so I'm ready for this thing.
Your nose hair is that long?
I don't really have any other hair to slick back, you know.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, maybe my eyebrows. I'll just grease them up over the top of my head and such.
Oh, my gosh. That looks fancy, the way you do that. Jersey Shore Beach Home is one of the world's most haunted bodies of water. What? Jersey Shore Beach Home to one of the world's most haunted bodies of water. One of the most confusing headlines I will ever read in my life. Cape May's Higby Beach is said to be frequented by a specter dressed in tattered pants and a T-shirt. One of the most haunted beachcombers ever, Dave. If you consider that 71% of Earth's surface is water, it becomes terrifyingly clear that there's all kinds of haunted businesses that we don't even know about, let alone the stuff on land. We're not even talking about the fact that humans have only explored roughly 5% of the world's oceans, according to the National Ocean Service. We haven't. Within that 5%, there are already some wild bioluminescent beings gliding through the depths. I don't want to meet any of them, to be honest. Think about the organisms surviving in even more extreme aquatic conditions. Actually transport yourself there at this exact time for a second in your mind. Don't go there physically because you might drown. And
I can really only afford a journey in my mind right now.
Well, yeah. They're just down there living, Dave. They're just down there living. Although I think they're there to eat you. That's
really?
Yeah, I think they're not there to do anything.
Another reason not to go in the ocean.
Right. The 14 most...
Or New Jersey.
Right, or New Jersey. The 4 most haunted bodies of water in the entire world were recently recapped in a story for Reader's Digest, including, in big print too, Dave. That's the draw for me. Including,
yeah, me too. We're getting old.
Yeah, including one location that might give a scare to those visiting the Jersey Shore this summer. This tale isn't about sea creatures, no. It's about a ghost in Cape May. A ghost in Cape May, Dave.
Like Zoink Scoob.
Legend has it that a spooky being haunts Higbee Beach, not Hybee Beach. That's when you smoke a few and then hit the beach. A 1.5 mile stretch at the tip of Cape Island along the Delaware Bay. The beach is concealed from view by swampy woods that separate it from the dead end of New England Road. Historians say that the area of Higbee Beach was once farmland in the 19th century. A tavern that stood on the farm was purchased by Joseph Smith Higbee in 1823 and subsequently was turned into a hotel called the Hermitage. Higbee and his younger brother, Thomas Horace Higbee, operated the hotel for Delaware Bay Pilots for many years, and that would be an awesome band name, by the way, Delaware Bay Pilots. I mean, you'd be...
How about the Delaware Bay Pirates?
Well, but
or does that just sound like a minor league baseball team?
Yeah, that does sound like a baseball
you're
team.
Right.
Delaware Bay Pilots would all be dressed in like khakis and like kind of frou-frou type stuff and
aviator glasses, of course.
Yeah, and aviator glasses, and they come out and they just play pleasant music. They wouldn't be really, nothing harsh. No. They border on like Barry Manilow and Maroon 5.
God.
Nothing offensive, right?
No, nothing.
No. So they operated the hotel for Delaware Bay Pilots for many years and lived in a separate house on Bayshore Road nearby the beach. Here's where the haunted part comes in. Joseph died in 1872 and Thomas died in 1879. Thomas Higbee stated in his will that he wanted to be buried near the hotel in a grave lined with brick and flagstone. He remained there for decades until the death of his niece, Etta Gregory, who had inherited the entire Higbee estate. Etta thought it would be a good idea to disinter her Uncle Tom against his wishes. Oh boy, well that's always good for a good haunting. And bury him next to her at the Cold Springs Presbyterian Cemetery, where their plots both remain today. The hotel was demolished, as we like to say in this part of the country, in 1940.
We had that there building demolished.
We did. Well, I like a good demolish every once in a while. You put it in a nice pot, and then you cook it up for about 4 or 5 hours, and you serve it to your family. The hotel was demolished in 1940, 3 years after Etta's death. Ever since, Higbee Beach visitors have sporadically reported spectral sightings of a man in a long coat, sometimes accompanied by a black dog, according to paranormal investigator Craig McManus, who shared his findings at the Cape May blog. This ghostly man always seems to disappear as his position is approached, the legend goes. One particularly creepy sighting from the area was recounted in the book Cape May Ghost Stories. A woman who claimed not to have any paranormal leanings explained what she saw when she visited the dunes of Higbee Beach and observed the ghost of Thomas Higbee. This from the Courier Post. It says, she said he looked right toward her, but more so through her, as if unaware of her presence. As the sun rose, she said, or she could see that his color was odd, a pale gray, almost glowing. She moved closer and noticed details of his dress, pants that were too short, almost tattered at the cuffs, a sash instead of a belt, and a very dirty and tattered T-shirt. The woman heard a whispering or giggling sound coming from the same area in which the man was standing, which she thought the man heard too, because he turned and started to, as she put it, coast or glide up over the hill. Wow, no legs. I don't know why I find that interesting. The man had no
ghosts
legs.
Do that all the time, Tim. They hover, they glide. That's what I'm looking forward to most about being a ghost.
I want to see him kind of do that Scooby-Doo thing where they just run in place for like 30 seconds and then take off in a shot. I want to see that out of a ghost. The woman pursued the ghost over the hill. She saw no footprints. I want to see a ghost with footprints, too. I want unusual stuff. Looking down at the beach, the ghost reappeared, glided into the ocean, and disappeared underwater. Oh, I hope he could breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The area of the legend is now owned by the state of New Jersey and is known as the Higbee Beach Wildlife Management Area. It's become a hotspot for birders enjoying the migratory birds who seek out its remote habitat. Formerly, Higbee Beach was popular among nude sunbathers. Well, now, there's an interesting reason to visit. Lower Township, displeased by the naked beachgoers, banned the activity and won the state's support to keep them off the beach in 1999. Damn you people. If that's what kept Thomas Higbee entertained all those years, well, Cape May could now have a ghost on its hands who's been angry for almost 20 years. There you go.
Interesting stuff. Sounds cool, though. I mean, that's what a great, deep, rich history with that haunting.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, where are we off to next?
We go next to Carl Jung and his fascination with the occult. Unknown to many people, including perhaps some of his followers in the Philippines, the great Swiss psychologist and psychotherapist Carl Jung had a lifelong Is that really how he sounded? He was the Swedish chef?
Yes.
Wow. I never learned about that in psychology class.
It's true.
I wish I would have known more about it.
He had to have a side job. There's not much money in being Carl Jung.
There wasn't?
I don't know that to be true at all.
Wow.
All right, so what's going on?
So
Jung believed in the supernatural, paranormal, I believe you were starting to tell me. Go ahead.
Yeah, he had a lifelong fascination with the occult and paranormal phenomena and wrote scientific treatises on the subject. Treatises, yes.
Treatises?
Treatise, something like
Treatsies is what I give to my dogs.
Yeah.
Who wants a treatsie?
Yeah, I don't want a treatsie. No, I had a few before the show. The founder of analytical and depth psychology, Jung is best known for his theories of the collective unconscious, including the concept of archetypes and the use of synchronicity or meaningful coincidence in psychotherapy. Jung was a contemporary and close colleague of Sigmund Freud, founder of psychoanalysis and the "no, that's just your pinky finger" theory. But later they parted ways because of irreconcilable differences in their theories of psychology. Jung was bothered by Freud's pansexualism in the interpretation of dreams and human behavior. Jung felt dreams also contain non-physical and spiritual meanings. Jung believed in the reality of spirits and the afterlife, the psychic and paranormal phenomena. While maintaining a healthy skepticism, Jung later developed a passionate interest in the study of such topics after his visions and near-death experience. He delved into research in parapsychology, flying saucers, astrology, alchemy, the I Ching, and even spirit communication and mediumship. According to one author...
Well-rounded guy.
He just didn't sit around his office twiddling his thumbs and wondering if, maybe his colleague...
Why are you looking at me when you're saying that?
Well, he wondered...
What are you getting at?
Nothing. Not suggesting anything. Yeah. According to one author, Jung's involvement with the occult was with him from the start. Literally, it was in his DNA. His maternal grandfather accepted the reality of spirits and learned Hebrew because he believed it was spoken in heaven. Jung's mother became a medium who spoke in tongues. Well, that sounds like fun. I don't know if you remember the album Young in Tongues, but it was very popular in Europe. It was
Didn't they open for Kiss over there during the European tour in 73?
They did, and there was like a co-tour after that with Stars on 45, and they did like a little beat mix thing together, Young in Tongues and Stars on 45. It was wonderful. I don't know if you remember that in the 80s or not, Dave, but it was...
I did. I just bought Stars on 45 vinyl recently.
Oh, no, you did not, really?
I did. I'm the guy. I'm keeping him alive.
My God. Well, congratulations on that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where was I? Young in Tongues just got me there. Jung gave lectures such as On the Limits of Exact Science, in which he questioned the dominant materialist paradigm. I'm just thinking of Young in Tongues now. In which he questioned the dominant materialist paradigm that reigned then. He said...
Ladies and gentlemen, you wanted the best. You got the best. The hottest rock band in the world. Young and Tongue.
That would be the worst album ever.
Or would it?
Or would it? Oh, dear God. He said, I shall not commit the fashionable stupidity of regarding everything I cannot explain as a fraud. Science cannot afford the luxury of naivete in these matters. Jung never hid his interest in the study of parapsychology and his fascination with occult phenomena, despite the stern warning by Freud that his interest could ruin his reputation as a serious scientist. In a letter to Freud dated May 8th, 1911, Jung wrote, "There are strange and wondrous things in these lands of darkness. Please don't worry about my wanderings in these infinitudes. I shall return laden with rich booty," don't we all?
Wow.
"For our knowledge of the human psyche," in which Freud went, "Booty? Talk to me more about this booty." I
like big booty and I cannot lie.
For a while longer, I must intoxicate myself on magic perfumes in order to fathom the secrets.
You sound intoxicated.
I can't believe this article. To fathom the secrets that lie hidden in the abyss of the unconscious. Unquote. Jung studied 8 spirit mediums, 6 females and 2 males, and participated in seances and observed levitation on 4 occasions. He wrote the most impressive cases of levitation he had witnessed happened with Douglas Home, a Scottish psychic. On 3 occasions, wrote Jung, I have seen him raised completely from the floor of the room. I had the full opportunity of watching the occurrence as it was taking place. There are at least 100 recorded instances of Mr. Home rising from the ground in the presence of as many persons. To reject the recorded evidence on this subject is to reject all human testimony, whatever, for no fact in sacred or profane history is supported by a stronger array of proofs. Boy, this guy was easily fooled, wasn't he? Jung believed in the reality of spirits and their apparition. He said, I am convinced that if a European had to go through the same exercises and ceremonies which the medicine man performs in order to make the spirits visible, he would have the very same experiences. He also believed in the reality of telepathic communication between 2 or more people, and he decries the fact that mainstream science has adopted the easiest way out by ignoring them. Jung was not the only mainstream scientist who delved deeply into the study of the unknown and forbidden fields of knowledge, such as occult and psychic phenomenon. Isaac Newton, spent many years studying alchemy, hoping to discover the secret of transforming base metal into gold. Unknown to the general public, many other well-known and highly respected scientists and intellectuals in the West were also involved in serious research into psychic phenomena. Among those were William James, considered the father of modern psychology, Sir William Crookes, physical chemist. A psychic chemist would be awesome, but a physical chemist who discovered the chemical thallium, Frederick Myers, classicist and philosopher who co-wrote the classic book Phantasms of the Living, Charles Richet, French physiologist and Nobel Prize awardee in medicine and physiology in 1963. Henri Bergson, close personal friend of mine and famous philosopher and Nobel Prize awardee for literature in 1927.
Hello, team. It is good to talk to you again, my friend.
There's a bit of an age gap there. John William Strutt, physicist and Nobel Prize awardee for physics in 1964. Hans Driesch, German biologist and natural philosopher who performed the first animal cloning in 1885. Wow, they did that way back then?
Wow.
They were bored. Robert Thewlis, the famous psychologist. Arthur J. Ellison, electrical and electronic engineer. And Dr. Ian Stevenson, head of the psychiatry department at the University of Virginia, who did pioneer researching into reincarnation and also the phenomena of faith healing and psychic surgery. And then the person who wrote the article is talking about of all the above scientists at one time, one of them served as the president of the Society of Psychical Research, who stated the purpose is to understand the events and abilities commonly described as psychic or paranormal, and which describes itself as the first society to conduct organized scholarly research into human experiences that challenge contemporary scientific models. There you go.
Wow, what a mouthful. All right, where are we off to next, sir?
Next, we will talk about Houston's Peter James Haviland and his effort to help recover lost memories and lost people. In a moment, an event so jarring can be completely inaccessible. Witnessing murder, experiencing rape, the last time you saw someone, our mind protects us whether we like it or not. And Peter James Haviland is helping those who struggle with fear and the loss.
Why are you hitting that name so hard? Peter James Haviland.
Really, that's what
Does he owe you money or something? What's going on?
Really, that's what you're focused on? I mean,
it just sounded funny to me. I don't know. Different things.
All right. Okay.
Peter James Haviland.
Peter James Haviland helps those who struggle with fear and the loss of memory that comes along with it. He pulls it back, but more so allows you to. Haviland is a private investigator and advanced certified clinical hypnotherapist with 33 years in the business of parapsychology and forensic hypnosis. He is called on frequently by other private investigators to help find missing people and crack cold cases. The thin file is collecting dust on forgotten basement shelves. Haviland uses forensic hypnosis and witness recall, the gist of that being he relaxes a person to the state of whatever that is. Somnambulism. Yeah, that too. Easy for you to say. Essentially sleepwalking, where the brain can access memories past. He uses dates, times, and open-ended questions like, what are you seeing now, to guide? Imagine walking to your favorite chair, any chair of your choosing, sitting down, and in front of you a large movie screen plays clips of from your story. Hypnosis is not a miraculous power, and despite popular misbelief, it can't coax you to do something that you don't want to do, he says. It's a process of initially relaxing people and then guiding them with suggestions that help trigger memories. You are conscious and you have to do control, and by using positive suggestions, people under hypnosis are able to release fears, unwanted behaviors, or strengthen parts of their personality. Not all movies are pleasant, especially the ones Haviland is called to help with. He interviews thoroughly before hypnosis, and in the beginning of the process says he works to release the pain before the memory is viewed. He says he often donates his skills just to help people find answers. While he declined to discuss specific cases, he says he's been successful in finding missing children and adults as well as solving cold cases. Often a lot of tedious legwork is involved, re-interviewing people to see how their story has changed, employing witness recall, and basically getting boots on the ground by canvassing locations, surveillance, and hanging up missing posters. Brenda Paradise of Guardian Search and Investigations has worked with Haviland on close to 75 cases. She explained that missing adults oftentimes translates to suicide, and a lot of them are veterans. She remembers one who began cutting himself on live video. They worked to shut down the feed and loop in law enforcement. He was saved, but there have been many who were successful in their attempts. A 16-year-old girl picked up by her boyfriend she met via Skype went missing for 2 weeks. Paradise and Haviland scanned more than 15,000 messages. The 31-year-old child molester, careful in his pursuit, was found from the small clue that he was a Dallas Cowboys fan. Again, law enforcement was alerted, and being a registered sex offender, they were able to locate him. The girl was alive, though her braces had been removed. Haviland says he also helps trapped spirits find closure. At 12 years old, he remembers the room getting cold and turning to see his recently deceased grandfather walk down the stairs and into a closet door. Since then, he's been fascinated with the paranormal, choosing to run toward irregular noises when most would run away. Less in it for the shock factor, Haviland's more interested in the why and the how. Parapsychology is defined by Merriam-Webster as the study of evidence for paranormal psychological phenomena, while Haviland says he is able to sense and see spirits. He is more fact-driven, preferring to get proof via sound, film, or thermal equipment. In 1995, he, his wife, and a few others founded the paranormal investigation team Lone Star Spirits. His mentor and fellow parapsychologist Lloyd Auerbach credits Haviland for being really good at finding normal explanations, too. Demons in the walls sometimes end up being just animals. Poltergeist activity, and a label applied specifically to physical situations, such as things moving or appliances turning off and on, takes serious digging to determine the common denominator or trigger point. For paranormal cases, he'll work with mediums, people who say they can communicate with ghosts via extrasensory perception. Haviland has them go into a trance to contact the energy, and says he never gives them background facts or confirmation afterwards. Haviland's work shows him, he says, it's not a control thing, it's not an ego thing. I've just always loved people, or loved helping people, rather, and this is the way I can do it.
Interesting. I know we had Peter on quite a while ago. It might be time to revisit with him.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, but I mean, in that case, what do we do? Do we throw him to True Crime Tuesday? Do we talk to him on the paranormal? What? I'm so confused, Tim. It seems like he's working in a little bit of both, but we'll look into talking to him sometime here in the near future. Where are we off to next, sir?
Well, we head off to, it looks like the world of golf.
Why? What did I do wrong?
Well, why not the world of golf, Dave?
All right, let's do it.
Let's veer off to the world of golf. We all need a nap every once in a while, don't we?
Do you hear it?
It's a small clap, yeah.
That's my golf clap, yeah.
Yeah. Have you been out to the course lately to practice that?
No, I don't. I just I like to practice it at home by myself, usually in a dark closet. Is that weird?
That is weird, yeah.
Why do you got to make it weird? All right, where are we going to go then? The world of golf. How does this tie into the supernatural, wise one?
Well, we're going to talk about Billy Horschel.
Oh, who?
Billy Horschel.
Oh, who?
Billy Horschel.
No, why didn't you say so the first time? Billy Horschel. He's a golfer?
He's a PGA golfer, Dave, and he has had a run-in with an UFO.
An UFO, you say?
Yeah, he has a UFO fascination that grew after a close encounter. The light simply couldn't be explained. Billy Horschel was in a car with his mother and his younger brother that evening, driving down US 1 along the Indian River Lagoon in central Florida. The arched lights glowed yellow above the water as if to outline a bridge. Only there was no bridge on the horizon. I was like, that's weird. The Melbourne Causeway looks so nice. And then it hit us that we had passed the Melbourne Causeway, and there's no other bridge for the next 40 or 50 miles, Horschel recalled. So it was just weird that there were 6 perfect lights that were hovering over the Indian River and a perfect little arch that looked like a bridge. Horschel, his mom, and brother weren't the only ones that had seen the lights either. In fact, so many people called the police to inquire about them that Florida Today ran an article the following day. I can't remember if they were still there when we passed them, and then they disappeared, or they disappeared when we were driving by, Horschel said. But the newspaper ran a story that there were mysterious lights on Melbourne Beach type of deal. I can't remember how they phrased it, but a lot of people called in. We're talking UFOs here. UFOs here, folks, is the quote in the article. At least that's what many people thought, and in retrospect, Horschel agrees. I believed in UFOs before, but that sort of sparked my interest, he explained. I just think that to think we're the only people in this universe that are alive or living or anything like that is sort of naive, in my opinion. Horschel is in good company. In fact, an article earlier this year noted that Florida ranked second to California in sightings, according to the National UFO Reporting Center in Davenport, Washington. Horschel, who will defend his AT&T Byron Nelson title this week, said he first became interested in the UFO phenomenon when he was a teenager. The 2014 FedEx Cup champion loves to watch shows about the paranormal on the Discovery Channel and National Geographic. His grandfather and an uncle worked at NASA, too, which might have fanned that flame. I'm not big on reading books, but I'll sit there in front of the TV and watch stuff like that all the time, or anything to deal with history, he said. I don't know why, I believe, but obviously watching these shows made me think more about it. Horschel is also well acquainted with the conspiracy theories about a potential sighting in Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947.
A what?
Yeah, there was a potential sighting back there. I don't know if you heard
what?
about it. Yeah, a sighting, yeah.
Of a golf tournament?
No, a UFO.
I heard about that.
The golf tournaments happen all the time. I don't know if you've ever turned on CBS on a Sunday.
No, I try to avoid that as much as possible.
And then there's NBC on a Sunday, and then they have this thing called the Golf Channel.
Oh.
It's all over the damn place, Dave. I don't know if you've ever seen it on a Sunday.
No.
You can't get away from it. Yeah, they're sponsored by Cadillac and every other car company, and Buick. Every car company on Earth sponsors.
Is this something that, suicidal people watch?
No, actually, when I needed sleep, I just turned one of them on.
And now approaching the ninth green, Tim Dennis from Minnesota. Last year, he dislocated his pinky while trying to make a peanut butter waffle. This is his return to the greens.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
I love playing golf. I just can't stand to watch it on TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love playing. I just
For a guy who doesn't watch it, did I just do a pretty good golf commentator?
You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
thank you. Well, if this whole paranormal thing doesn't pan out, maybe that's my next move.
Yeah, golf announcer. Why?
Yeah, strange little tidbits of information.
Yeah,
whilst talking about golf.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually. You need to get more boring than that. Peanut butter waffle is kind of exciting for.
Well, no, maybe I'll bring it. Well, that's the whole point. Is I'll kind of amp up the volume. I'll bring in the passive voice, but I'll bring in interesting points.
What are you going to do when some guy in the background yells, "Get in the hole"?
And that's what she said.
I like that. That's a good twist. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
I'm not going to say that drive was good, but he clubbed that ball like a baby seal.
I like it. I like it.
See?
Yeah.
I'll throw out some, that'll be the controversial Dave.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'll try one of the, I'm still not sure why women are golfing. Don't their boobs get in the way? So that's when you get the attention. You've got to say something like that.
That'll be the one they'll pull you off the air for.
No, they won't. You know why? Because I'm clever, and I'll be like, I was kidding. Their boobs don't always get in the way, just sometimes. See, I know how to deal with the PR, Tim.
Oh, right. What are you going to do when they suspend you?
I'll go back into paranormal radio.
Oh, I get it. Okay. That's great. Wow.
I thought every good commentator's got to say something really stupid at one point in their career.
Oh, they do. Yeah. You gotta just say something really outrageous.
And Tim Dennis is approaching the third tee. You'll notice his swing; it's almost as loose as his love life.
Wow.
See, do you think if I threw in lines like that, would that be kind of skirting the issue or no?
Yeah, you're getting there. Yeah. I mean,
why can't I? I'll step it up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the new golf commentator. Maybe me and Adam Sandler, we could work together.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's got nothing going on. Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Well, Netflix movies. He's just about ready to retire, anyways. I mean, he's got plenty of free time. Yeah.
Enough with our golf chatter. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Horschel. We were on him.
Yes.
Yeah, all over him like a cheap suit.
You were.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The United States military first reported it was a weather balloon out there in Roswell, Dave, that crashed. I think we're all familiar with that. Others aren't so sure, though, insisting that it was a cover-up. The local newspaper ran a story on that July 8th, 1947, with the RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. The legend continues to this day, and Horschel is intrigued. Dave, I'm sort of into that era, 1951, he said, and all that secretive stuff. I like knowing stuff that people don't know about or people keep hidden type deal, was his quote. Horschel also thinks that the Bigfoot phenomenon might be more than just folklore. I wonder if he's ever hit one in the head with a golf ball.
Well, this guy's into all of it. We're going to get him on the show. I'm going to work on getting him on the show.
The old Horschel guy?
Yeah. Do you think he'll come on and be like, I saw a Bigfoot when I was approaching
I don't think they talk like that.
The 12th tee. And I was cocking back my elbows.
I don't think they say
I was looking at my balls. And
wow.
When suddenly I heard my bush start to rattle.
What?
I looked over and there was a Sasquatch apparently watching me while enjoying a Jack's Link meat sausage link thing.
That was his first problem. I mean.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So Horschel also thinks the Bigfoot phenomenon might be more than just folklore, but he acknowledges that of the two, UFOs or Sasquatch, having a giant hairy ape walking upright in the forest might be the least believable. Oh, so he's taking UFOs over Sasquatch. Yeah. But when you think about every day, new species and new things are being discovered in this world, it sort of makes you think that is this Bigfoot thing is this? Wait, this does not make sense. I'm going to read this word for word. Ready? Because this does not make sense to me. But go ahead.
Okay.
If this is the way this man speaks, we're going to have a difficult interview. Ready? But when you think about everyday new species and new things are being discovered in this world, it sort of makes you think, is this Bigfoot thing really real? He said. So who knows?
I kind of followed it. I'm with you.
Did you?
But that's because my mind is lulled into golf talk right now.
Okay. I don't know.
Yes, I believe that what he said is correct, and we'll check those stats during the break.
Horschel said few of his peers know he believes in UFOs and Bigfoot. He's prepared for the teasing that may follow this article, but at the same time, he knows he's not alone in his beliefs. Millions of people have seen UFOs, he said, and have video recordings. And when you think about pilots, these guys are in the skies hours and hours, and they know what a plane is, and they know stuff. And when they talk about their experiences and what they've seen, they can't justify what they've seen. It sort of makes you think a little bit. It does indeed. Is what they are.
Do you think that the commentators are going to mess with him when he's up there, trying to get that long putt? They're going to go, let's see if he can probe that hole like Travis Walton was probed aboard the alien ship.
Oh, wow!
Do you think that? I'm just saying, if they're going to mock him, do you think that might be the way they go?
Let's see if he can open that up wider than Whitley Strieber.
Wow. What he obviously needed for that putt that he missed was Bigfoot standing there with his feet in a V formation around the hole. These are in bad taste. So we apologize to everybody.
Sorry. We're sorry. And that's...
I'm not sorry.
You're not?
I'm not sorry. Suck it up, golf boy. I do. I want to try to get him on the show. This would be fascinating.
I think it may be. Well...
All right. Where are we going next?
Where's the best place in the U.S. to spot a UFO, Dave?
Over that last guy's house?
Yes. On the golf course.
Yeah, with Kevin. What's his name?
Kevin Bacon.
Mordahl?
Yes, Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon was that guy.
Kevin Bacon.
No, it was Horschel. His last name is Horschel. I don't know. It's Harry Horschel.
Harry Horschel.
I have no idea. The X-Files may have come and gone, but if the viewers want to spot a UFO, perhaps they should trek across the U.S. instead of turning on their TV. Casino.org, an independent provider of online casino reviews and information, and of course, your UFO leader, found states like your UFO leader.
I did not know that.
Yeah, look them up by name. Found states like Wyoming and Vermont offer the best odds of seeing a UFO. 205 to 1 and 250 to 1 if you're betting on it, respectively, based off population data. Did you see what the U.S. Supreme Court did yesterday, by the way? Was it yesterday or the day before?
I did not, Tim. What took place?
By the way, you can now bet on the NFL across the country.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Sports betting, baseball, NFL, hockey, now legal across the country. So now you can bet on the odds of UFOs across the country.
I was wondering if there was another way I could lose and give up more money, but thank you, American government, for finding that thing for me.
Yeah. There have been 2,854 and 2,493 sightings in Wyoming and Vermont, respectively, since 1940, according to Casino.org. Why they're keeping that data in our government isn't, I have no idea. States with the lowest odds are Florida, Texas, and New York. If I were a UFO, I wouldn't want to go to Florida either. Just saying. At 3,485 to 1, 3,395 to 1, and 2,584 to 1, respectively. California has seen the highest number of UFO sightings at 23,419. Other states that have a high number of UFO sightings include Texas at 8,334 sightings, New York at 7,641 sightings, and Missouri, ironically nicknamed the Show Me State, at 7,467. New Mexico, where 6,273 UFO sightings have been reported, is home to, of course, that famous Roswell incident that Dave doesn't know what we're talking about. In 1947, a UFO purportedly crash-landed. We know all about that story. Lisa Bennett, Casino.org marketing executive, said the company started looking into Area 51 for its blog, and we thought it would be interesting to calculate the odds of sighting a UFO within each state of the U.S. Bennett highlighted other interesting findings based off the data. Our calculations show that Arizona is one of the states where you're least likely to encounter a UFO. In recent news, 2 pilots reported identifying a UFO flying over the state, so screw that. For others worried about alien abduction, Florida was found to have the lowest odds of encountering a UFO, probably because you'll end up losing your spaceship up your butt if you end up landing there.
Wow.
Yeah, well, there's weird things that happen in Florida, Dave. In total, there have been 259,691 UFO sightings in the U.S. over the past 78 years, Casino.org noted. The site also noted that more than 40,000 Americans have taken out insurance against being abducted by aliens.
Wow, we are in the wrong business. We should open up our own anal probing insurance company.
Probably. Those 40,000 Americans also probably are very gullible. The entire list of odds and total number of sightings is found online. It's very easy to find. The data follows a report last year that the 4th of July is the most popular day to spot a UFO. Also, some very gullible people looking at fireworks and going, look, Ma, there's a UFO.
No, but a lot of people have their eyes finally cast to the skies. So I do believe that would be one of the best dates to actually see something up there.
Chinese lantern. Just saying.
Bless you.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I had a little something. Yeah. Yeah. According to the data compiled by UFO Sightings Desk Reference co-author Cheryl Costa, I almost called her Chero, July 4th represents 2.11% of the 121,000 UFO sightings. Wow, really?
Well, we're going to be in Arizona at the end of June for the Tombstone 25th anniversary of the movie. So maybe we should do some sky watching with listeners that come out there and check it out.
Sure. I'll look up at the sky for a while.
Let's do it.
Mainly because I got a neck issue, but I normally...
And it'll be right around the 4th of July. I'm just saying the aliens may be out there looking around, checking stuff out. We might get a good view.
Maybe. So 2.11% of the 121,000 UFO sightings from 2001 through 2015, more than any other specific date in the calendar, July 4th. Costa theorized that this might be due to the association with the movie Independence Day, or more likely a great number of people outside looking at fireworks, like you said.
Right, they're looking at the sky. That has nothing to do with the movie.
You know that.
How dare this guy? What kind of chucklehead is he?
People think that
Get him on the show. I want to verbally abuse him in my golf voice.
That would be she. Yeah.
You might be dumber than my elbow. That seems like that'd be the kind of golf put down that you'd get, Tim. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, it was a she. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a she. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I take it all back. She's probably right.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss anybody off, Tim.
I don't know that. Oh, no. It's too late now. I don't know that the golf voice really pisses anybody off.
Really?
Yeah.
You think I can get away with a lot?
I think he can. Yeah, go ahead. Try. I mean, try a random person. Insult a random person in the golf voice.
All right. I can't. I don't know what to say. I'd be afraid that. I think it would, because it's so emotionless.
Yeah.
That it would just sound like ultra icy.
Nah.
Yeah.
It's
that's
almost,
what I think.
It can almost lull somebody to sleep while you're insulting them.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, where are we off to next?
The royal wedding, Dave. The soon-to-come Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Dun, 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 dun.
As you're listening to this, they might have already tied the knot, or have they, Dave? Have they?
Mm-hmm.
An Irish clairvoyant has predicted that this whole darn thing's going to be canceled. And it might have been by the time you've listened to this. And that Irish clairvoyant may be right.
Really?
An Irish clairvoyant. I can't stop saying the word clairvoyant. It's my new word. Predicted that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry will just call the whole damn thing off. Siobhan Kilroy, forecasted the news that Meghan's father will fall ill last week. Although it's not a hard prediction. Have you seen the man?
No.
He's barely standing on 2 feet. Yeah. 7 days before the news shocked the world, now she says that there is an elaborate cover-up in operation, and the nuptials will not go ahead in St. James Chapel, Windsor on Saturday afternoon. We'll know by the time this airs. She told RSVP Live at the last...
Maybe not. Some people may be listening early morning Saturday. We may be ahead of the game here. We're ahead of the curve, son. We're up early with this show.
By the time this is released, actually, when this releases... I've always wanted to say that on air. By the time this releases, it'll be exactly 1 hour before the service. So we'll still have an hour.
Well, at least a week struck before it. So we'll actually have mentioned the story before they cancel, hopefully.
Right,
so we'll see how it goes. All right.
She told RSVP Live at the last minute there will be something that will postpone the wedding. I just don't think it is going to go ahead, even though we are very, very close to it. Harry will break his leg, or something serious will happen that will stop the wedding. How do you break your leg on your wedding day?
Oh, I have a few ideas.
I know from the most recent photograph of them that there is terrible tension between them. I feel that Harry will pull out. That'll save a kid. But there will be a story to cover it up. It can't go ahead. The universe is saying no and is trying to stop it, continued the Ennis-based medium. Last week, Ms. Kilroy said there will be headline news coming from the UK that will hit all the papers and websites. She insisted that anyone following British news would be quite taken aback, and that happened when Meghan's father said he wouldn't be walking her down the aisle. Siobhan says that it's all a cover-up after the wedding collapsed. I just got this feeling that the wedding was going to fall apart. If you look at my prediction, you can tell that I said that there would be sensational news coming from the UK and somebody would fall ill, and that wouldn't be the truth. You have to cover up a big story for people's benefit, she explained. Siobhan is on Facebook if you want to get readings of your own that may or may not come true. So
you break your leg, you just duct tape it up and make it up to the, you don't spend all that money to set up this kind of wedding and then be like, oh, well, I stubbed my toe. We'll have to, I stubbed my toe. I'll need to rearrange my schedule do this again another time.
You just throw Harry in a wheelchair and you keep going.
That's right.
That's what you do.
Yeah. All right. Where are we off to next, sir?
We are continuing on to a creepy moment where a security guard has filmed a ghost haunting a football changing room after hearing doors slamming.
Oh, boy.
The eerie clip was shot by Raul Arguello at the Tomás Adolfo Duco Stadium in Buenos Aires, Argentina. It's a spooky moment where a night guard records a fleeting image of a ghostly shadow while investigating strange noises inside a deserted football stadium. The eerie clip, shot by 32-year-old Raul Arguello, captures the moment that he opens a banging door at the Tomás Adolfo Duco Stadium in Buenos Aires, Argentina. As he pans his camera around, he unknowingly captures the instant that a specter quickly passes along some benches before disappearing through a wall. At the time, the apparition appears to be invisible to the naked eye as Arguello doesn't react to the movement. He only discovered the unnerving phenomenon later when he viewed the footage and found that he had apparently caught the spooky presence in the arena. At the beginning of the haunting encounter, the guard explains to prove that he is telling the truth about the baffling banging door as he is going to film it. It's 11 o'clock at night, and it's the third time I've heard this banging noise, the frightened man says, looking down into the camera. I'm going to film it to show people later on so they believe it when I tell them that this has never happened to me before. It's terrifying. Pointing his camera toward the narrow staircase leading to the dressing rooms, he descends the steps with his flashlight in hand. At first, the persistent hammering noise is only in the background and sounds muffled, but as he reaches the bottom, it escalates into a thunderous din. Heading into the underground sector, it soon becomes clear what is causing the spine-chilling commotion. A basement changing room door is being jerked open, then violently slammed shut again and again, pulled by an unknown force inside the room. Picking up a metal bar resting on a wall and edging hesitantly towards the daunting spectacle, the petrified man curses loudly as he pushes open the door. See, no one is here, he declares in a panicked tone. How can nothing be doing this? It's the third time I've entered here because of this noise, and there's nothing. The clearly shaken watchman films the empty room as proof, spinning around to document each inch of space as he speaks. But as the camera briefly rests on a bench on the far right wall, a shadowy specter breaks cover and scurries across the screen, disappearing into the wall. Oblivious as to what just happened, the watchman continues to film the room. Taking sharp intakes of breath, he vows, "Oh God, I'm going to leave. I just want to go." The married father of two was left so stressed from the encounter on April 3rd that he handed in his notice and found a different security job. The Tomás Adolfo Duco Stadium, home to the First Division club Atlético Huracán, was contacted for a comment but did not respond to the story. There you go.
Interesting. Do they have video with that as well or no?
Let's see. I do not see video. I just see pictures.
Okay.
And they circle the picture of the shadow in this story. Oh, wait. No, there is a video here. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's video.
All right. Well, maybe can you put that link up with today's show?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Why don't we do that so people can see it for themselves? I thought when I'd seen this article a couple days ago, the video I saw I thought was pretty decent. But I don't know. We'll let the viewers and listeners discern on that. All right. Hey, before we go too much further, Tim, I do have to make a quick mention.
Okay.
Here's a few useful car tips, because nobody wants non-useful car tips. Mm-hmm. A coffee filter, Tim, with just a little bit of olive oil can clean the interior of your car, removing excess weight from your car. You know, Tim, that body that you've been carrying around for way too long.
What?
Get rid of it, and you'll improve your gas mileage. And you can place your key fob to your chin to help increase its range. Well, especially you with the metal plate in your skull and the alien probe still left inside you.
Who says?
You are like an antenna.
What?
Here's another tip you might not be aware of, but TrueCar helps people get used cars. That's right. TrueCar isn't just for buying new cars, which they do very well. With their certified dealer network and nationwide inventory of nearly 1 million used cars, you'll enjoy real pricing on actual inventory and a simpler buying experience, whether you buy new or used. And with TrueCar, users can see what others paid, so they know if they're getting a good deal before buying. They're also more likely to enjoy a faster buying experience by connecting with TrueCar certified dealers. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, check out TrueCar and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states. All right, Tim, where are we going off to next in the world of supernatural news?
Well, evidently Bigfoot's been spotted 10 miles from Bristol by an 100% sure train passenger.
Great Scott! I see a Bigfoot!
How can you...
It's the actual audio. I found it online.
I believe it. How can you be 100% sure you're just, tooling along on a train?
You're always so skeptical and cynical. Why can't you just take the man's word for it, Tim? Take the man's word for it.
What is he, a sharpshooter?
Maybe. You don't know. Right, could be an assassin. He could be the man with the golden gun.
It has become an almost accepted phenomenon right across North America, but now a man has been reported he saw a Bigfoot-like creature walking in a field just 10 miles from Bristol. The eyewitness said he was on a train from Exeter to Bristol Temple Meads, which was approaching the city on a bright Friday morning in November last year when he saw a massive creature taking huge strides along a hedgerow. There was a bustle in that hedgerow, Dave, in case you don't know.
A bustle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The report was made to a British Bigfoot sightings group, a team of researchers based around the country who collect and investigate sightings of an upright, hairy, ape-like creature in this country. The man reported that he left Exeter late in the morning, and there was few people on the train as it approached Bristol. I wish you would do the voice for this.
Which voice?
The voice that you were doing before.
That one or the...
Yeah.
And the Bigfoot was seen outside the window.
No. The latter.
Okay.
In my carriage was probably 10 to 12 people, most of them with their head in either mobile phones or morning newspapers, he told the researchers. I haven't been on a train for years, so I was keen to take in the scenery. About 10 miles from Bristol, we were traveling through an area, and in the fields to my right, I saw something large in the middle of the field walking. It was walking kind of hunched over, and all I could tell you is it was a black figure. That's no way to talk about him. He has feelings. At a guess, I would have said it was 70 to 100 meters away from the train. My eyes were glued on it at this point. I was watching the way the thing was walking. He called it a thing, Dave. How insensitive. Almost towards the side of the field, it was edged right up to the hedgerow, as if to walk alongside the hedge itself, almost like it was using the hedge for cover. To my eye, whatever it was seemed to take massive strides, and it was covering the ground very quickly. As I spun my head to the left to see if anybody else was on the train and had seen what I was looking at, I was surprised to see that nobody was really looking out from the seats in my direction, or any direction, other than down, to be fair, he added. If the eyewitness's judgment that the sighting took place around 10 miles before the train arrived at Temple Meads is accurate, it would put the sighting to the south of the railway line between Nailsea and Yatton stations. The countryside at this point is low-lying wetland between the M5 and the wooded hillside escarpment that runs up to Bristol Airport. I would imagine 5 to 10 seconds was all it took was all I saw it for, the eyewitness added. 5 to 10 seconds, Dave. That's all he saw.
That's it.
That's it. 5 to 10 seconds.
It's like double your sex drive, right?
I'd go all night, brother.
See, I tried to do it in the golf voice because you told me to try to put somebody down in it and it would be less offensive. But that's like double your sexual activity in a night. See, I still think it's hurtful.
It is hurtful. Yeah.
Hurtful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, it makes you think, though, when you say it.
It does, right? Because then you're like, oh, maybe he's right. It does sound more authoritative. So it's an authoritative put down. Anywho, let's get back to the story.
But it stood out to me as strange to start off with. I didn't think it was Bigfoot or anything like that until I watched how it walked and the way it hugged the hedgerow. That's what my name of my new album, Dave. Hugging the Hedgerow. Yeah. Or it's just a really dirty act, one or the other. I thought it was just somebody walking through a field as if they were not acting in such a strange manner with a strange gait and hugging the bushes to stay hidden. Surely a person wouldn't do that unless they were an escaped convict or would look like that. Then about 2 minutes later, after viewing this figure, I saw a couple walking a collie dog in a field, roughly the same distance that I'd seen the black figure. They were to the side of the hedge line. I was gobsmacked to see that I could hardly make them out. I mean, I knew there were humans walking the dog, but I couldn't really see what they were wearing apart from the brightly colored coats. And it dawned on me that they were probably of average size, male and female, although what I had seen 5 minutes earlier was clearly not. It was an all-black figure in a field. It was huge. I could see the black-figured arms and legs and chest compared to the two humans I had just seen walking the dog. At the point of seeing the black figure, I realized the tree line behind it was probably around 200 meters away and had a thick, dense forest behind it. I have no proof whatsoever to show you, only my word. I'm 100% sure what I saw was the English Bigfoot, and what makes me so confident is the way it walked, with slightly bent legs, long strides, but a graceful, fluid walking motion, he added. While sightings of a hairy creature which...
That's like runway walking right there.
Yeah, like he had a place to go in the airport or something. Maybe he was headed for the airport. You never know. Maybe he had a plane to catch. While sightings of a hairy creature which walks on two legs are almost a daily occurrence somewhere in North America and the subject of TV series, books, and films, even seasoned Bigfoot experts have questioned whether the animal could exist in the British Isles. But sightings continue to be reported to British Bigfoot researchers from the dense woods of Suffolk to the remote mountains of Scotland.
Hey.
Huh, what?
Watch your language, man. This is a family show.
I said Suffolk.
Hey.
Well, if I say Suffolk, then people
you go. That sounds better.
Then people are going to say that's not how you say it. Yeah.
How you say what?
Suffolk.
Hey.
What?
Come on, man. Seriously.
No,
kids are listening.
That's how you say it.
Wow.
Yeah. There have always been folklore tales of a hairy man-like creature living in the forests of England. Back in the Middle Ages, they were known as woodwasps.
Woodwisps?
Woodwasps.
Woodwasps?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be called one. But...
No, it sounds like you're getting put down in like fourth grade.
Yeah, say it in a golf voice for me.
Tim Dennis, you are nothing more than a woodwasp.
See? That sounds insulting. Yeah.
Hurtful.
Yeah.
How about if I said it as Bill Curtis?
Oh.
Tim Dennis, you are in fact a woodwasp.
See, that makes me just want to go to my room and cry.
Like, come on, buddy. Stop being such a woodwasp.
Yeah, see. One leading British Bigfoot researcher...
That one was easier to take, I think, honestly.
Yeah, it was, yeah. One leading British Bigfoot researcher, Deborah Hatswell, said it was a possible Bigfoot-like creature and could still exist in Britain. In 2012...
Bigfoot-like creature. So does that mean she thinks it's a different creature, not unlike a Bigfoot, or that it is a Bigfoot creature?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not her.
Since when do you not want to speak for other people? Damn.
I'm not Deborah Hatswell. I can't possibly be
I knew
her.
Deborah Hatswell, and you, sir, are no Deborah Hatswell.
I am not. In 2012, the government produced the National Ecosystem Assessment, and it showed that only between 6 and 8% of the land in Britain is actually built on. The rest is either forest, farmland, or wild mountains or downs, she said. People who are open-minded about whether such a creature could exist in the vast forests of North America might think Britain is too built up, but it's actually not. When you look at the reports of sightings in this country, they tend to follow rivers and forests, she added. There have always been folklore stories about wild men living in the woods in this country, and they date back centuries and have those stories have those stories have continued? Have those sentences have not made sense? People are still reporting seeing these creatures that look like monkeys in the woods running across the road at night, and in this case, walking along a hedgerow in a rural area near Bristol. The thing that makes this witness so sure that he was able to compare the size of the thing he saw with two people he saw a couple of fields away, the first thought is always, is this a man in a hunter's ghillie suit? But the way it walked and its sheer size makes him 100% certain, she added. He wasn't someone with an active interest in Bigfoot before this incident, but it has changed his life. He found a research group online and found somewhere to report what he saw. Now he's going out doing his own research, looking for signs in the woods near his home, she said. There you go.
All right. How many more stories do we have, good sir?
Oh, boy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, that many. All right.
Yeah, we got like 6 stories left.
All right, let's power through. Where are we off to next?
Good Lord. Ghostly figures are spotted at Haverfordwest Priory Ruins. They went all fancy on the bit. Could this be the latest sightings of a ghost, which is said to have haunted Haverfordwest for centuries? Well, photographs of what could be a hooded, robed specter have been captured by Haverfordwest-based author and paranormal investigator Gavin L. Davies. Mr. Davies, who runs the Paranormal Chronicles website, received reports from several local residents who had spotted what they believed could be a hooded figure coming out of the mist of the Priory ruins. The figure is said to have spooked the residents' dogs and faded away as if into nothingness. It has been long believed in Haverfordwest that this could be the ghost of a medieval monk linked to the town's Priory ruins. Mr. Davies visited the Priory ruins himself during December last year while taking the photos of the supermoon. During his visit to the ruins, he said he felt as if being watched at times.
Oh, my God, that moon is super.
Well, it can be. I mean, it wasn't fabulous. It wasn't a fabulous moon. It was,
look at it, Tim. It's super.
It was just super. And notice that the fog was clumped together in strange patches. Well, it'll do that.
Like the top of my head.
No. When looking back in some of the images he captured, he began to think that he could see the same hooded figure that had been reported to him. In one picture, it seems as if the hooded figure is in close to the camera, as if it walked past Mr. Davies, unaware of his presence. In another image, what seems to be a figure can be seen emerging from the fog as a fiery orb hovers overhead, Dave. A fiery orb. Ooh, I don't know if that's fiery. I'm looking at the picture. It's an orb. He said, I'm well aware that the power of suggestion is very much at play. In one of the pictures, it may just be a person wandering around late at night. In some cases, you can't really see anything until it's pointed out. People have reported similar ghostly sightings throughout the centuries at Haverfordwest. Mr. Davies explained in a post on Paranormal Chronicles. The shadowy specter has been seen many times. The first known report made in 1729 of a cowled and dark apparition making its way to the old Augustinian priory. The investigator is determined to carry on with his search for the truth. I shall continue the search. I shall continue the investigation, he said. But what is more effective than one man with a lifetime of passion and experience to investigate our friend, the ghostly monk? I don't know why I put so much passion behind it. An entire county of people, he said. The hunt is on. Boy, is he passionate. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Just saying.
That's it? That's the end?
That's the end.
All right, where are we off to next?
Well, Dave, Google is suspected of deleting pictures of paranormal object, that ghastly Google.
Okay.
On satellite, Google Maps is blurring unidentified objects. I think just because they like doing that because it looks naughty. The staff of a famous British tabloid made an unusual discovery. They had a journalistic investigation and determined that the employees of the corporation Google deliberately erased from satellite imagery of the map service Google Maps awkward objects. It's an editing tool, kids. For example, similar to the strange sea, lake, and river creatures, in this case, caught on the map, the legendary Loch Ness Monster inhabiting, according to rumors, in the Scottish Lake Loch Ness. Someone will say that the images used Google Maps, updated periodically to more or less be true, if any water monster floated down the river during a single shoot, it probably won't be there when the satellite picture of the same place a year later is presented. However, In our case, according to the British, it's a different story. Should someone detect data frames in advance of the monster or something else beyond the scientific view of our world and talk about his discovery of other network users as sensors, Google immediately will change the map or even paint over the anomaly as if it was never there. The question is why? Proponents of conspiracy theories believe that the employees of Google are doing it at the behest of the American government.
Interesting.
There are many indirect evidence that multinational high-tech company reports directly to the U.S. government, and particularly the CIA. And why do the powers to be hide the water monsters from the eyes of the world community? That's another question. This is the question. This is not my question. This is the question in the article. Maybe the shadow government of the earth fears of panic or just grows in layman ignorance. This isn't my ranting, by the way. Most likely our world is just fit to a certain standard of thinking, but because everything that does not fit into this standard, for example, the same anomalies, aliens, mystical animals, and so on, distorted, leveled, silent. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. My head kind of hurts after that. I think this might be lost in translation somewhere along the way.
I think so, too. That did not make sense. All right.
All right. Where are we off to next?
Woo. Chilling footage shows how ghosts terrorize a Gravesend family, making their home a no-go to visitors. A family who has become terrified of living in their own house due to strange goings-on have captured exactly what goes on day to day. Husband and wife Robert and Pauline and their son Barry, who did not want to give their surnames through fear of attracting a mass of ghost hunters, have spoken of repeated paranormal activity. The weird occurrences started 6 years ago in their home of 10 years in Gravesend. They centered around 33-year-old Barry in his bedroom, leading them to believe it could be a portal to the other side. Once friends and neighbors became too terrified to even visit their home, Robert decided to install internal cameras earlier this year to see if he could catch the ghoul. Spooky footage shows a mug moving on its own as Barry tries to pour hot water into it, and a pair of rubber gloves lift off the kitchen worktop and fly across the room. Other videos reveal a chair turning around on its own and doors repeatedly opening and closing in the night. The family have become so freaked out that they considered bringing in an exorcist or paranormal investigator to rid the house, but have held back in case it is dead loved ones. 54-year-old Robert, unemployed, said, I love how they notice that Robert's unemployed, but everybody else in the house has a job, said it's a really freaky place to live. Friends and neighbors say they are scared to come around, particularly after dark, not even to use the toilet. And he would notice because he's around all day. When anyone does come around, they shout bye to the ghost too. Sometimes the doors slam after they do. We have talked about getting someone in to fight it, but we won't just in case the ghost is my mom and dad, he went on to say. Much of the activity centers around poor Barry in his bedroom. Oh, poor Barry. Incidents include people seeing or hearing him in the house when he's not in, a black shape that follows him around, and door slamming. Barry is a welder and martial artist, and when you combine the two, he's deadly. Sorry, I had to add that. I have seen that shadow 3 times in the house, but it tries to hide from me whenever I see it. One time when I was going down the stairs, I felt this presence behind me and turned around and saw it. It's definitely not my shadow, but I can't make out what it is, and as it's like a black mass. I kept waking up at 3:47 a.m. and I heard a bang, and when we checked downstairs, pictures had been thrown around. There was something making me feel scared. It wasn't just in my head. There was definitely something in my room. I feel as if there was something attached to me, he also went on to say. It kept trying to wake me up. The way it moves is odd. I felt dread for the first time. In the end, we decided that we had to get footage as something was obviously there, and we wanted to prove it. So we put cameras around our home to see if we could capture it. When we caught the cup move on CCTV, at first I thought it could have been water that slid on it, but I checked and the surface was bone dry. Mom wouldn't let me get away without drying the pots properly, so I know the cup was dry too, he went on to say. I feel as if there was something attached to me, but I don't know what it is. I don't think whatever it is family members. If it was, they wouldn't make us feel like this. It's something else. It's not human. I think it's a demon. It reminds me of that film Insidious, especially the big black thing I keep seeing. 52-year-old Pauline said, I believe it is a monk that's haunting our house. I know what I saw. It's not a figment of my imagination. Barry's bedroom could be a porthole. It's following my son. Robert explained that Barry had seen the black shape once before when Barry was just 8 or 9, and he had to save his young son from climbing out the window as it was calling him, quote unquote.
Yikes.
Yeah. Robert said, we have another photo of a gray shape we caught on the stairs. No one smokes in this house. People come up with different ideas, and I'm not saying the house is definitely haunted, but there's something going on and we don't know what it is. My mom believed all of this paranormal stuff, and she said she could talk to the dead. It was only after she came around to the house that these things started happening.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Climbing out the window. Ew, yeah, a lot of activity. All right, where are we off to next?
Well, scientists believe that alien life may exist in other universes, Dave, after discovering a mysterious force. Yeah, that's right. They found Darth Vader.
The Force is strong in this one, Tim.
Or they found his helmet, rather.
Luke Skywalker is approaching the 9th hole. Interesting.
Yeah.
Darth does kind of have a golf voice, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he? It's kind of soothing. You could just sit there and listen.
I'm Bill Curtis, and I totally agree.
Alien life could exist in other universes, according to a group of scientists studying a mysterious force, Dave, known as dark energy. Previous theories suggested our universe has the perfect amount of dark energy, which acts against gravity and is making the cosmos expand at an accelerated rate. We're screwed either way. It was understood that any more would create such rapid expansion that stars and planets wouldn't have time to form. The multiverse theory was first put forward in the 1980s, I believe, by a Flash comic book. I'm just saying. But researchers at Durham University claim these celestial bodies would still have formed even if a universe had 100 times the dark energy that ours does. They use giant computer simulations to suggest that if other universes exist, they may just as likely harbor life. Boy, the formation of stars in a universe is a battle between the attraction of gravity and the repulsion of dark energy, said Professor Richard Bauer of Durham University's Institute for Computational Cosmology. Boy, you know a nerdy guy named that one. I'm just saying. We have found in our simulations that universes with much more dark energy than ours can happily form stars. So why such a paltry amount of dark energy in our universe, he asked? I think we should be looking for a new law of physics to explain this strange property of our universe, and the multiverse theory does little to rescue physicists' discomfort. Their findings are published in 2 related papers in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, available on your newsstand now for $2.99. And their simulations were created using the EAGLE, Evolution and Assembly of Galaxies and Their Environments project, one of the most realistic programs mapping the observed universe. The dark energy conundrum has plagued scientists for years, said Jamie Salcido, postgraduate student of Durham University. He added, our simulations show that even if there was much more dark energy or even very little in the universe, that it would only have a minimal effect on star and planet formation. The widely accepted eternal inflation theory, which I believe affects our economy, claims our universe came into existence with a brief burst that caused it to expand at a rapid pace. Some suggested this meant in some regions the universe is still expanding and will continue to grow infinitely. In doing so, it creates multiverses, an endless supply of universes, much like our own, populated with Earth-like planets, societies, and even individuals that resemble us. So yes, Dave, there's more than one you.
I wonder if he still has hair.
Probably not.
Wonder if he could loan me some money.
Again, probably not.
Well, all right. All right, are we closing in on our last few stories here before we get to Parashare?
We have 2 left.
All right, where are we going next?
NASA's going to search deep space for aliens under imminent orders from Donald Trump, Dave.
Really?
Yep, NASA said could once again, search for extraterrestrial life if a massive pay package is approved by the U.S. Yay. If given the green light, NASA could once again look for alien life across the galaxy after bringing the original hunt to an end in 1992. That's right, we haven't looked for them since 92. The proposed funding bill would allocate $10 million to search for, just $10 million bucks, so we're doing it on a budget, folks, to search for technosignatures such as radio transmissions in deep space. Astronomer Jill Tarter said the project could do a great deal. She added $10 million at once for 1 year won't do much. You're telling us. But $10 million a year as an ongoing funding stream could do a great deal. It could allow people to build special purpose instrumentation and then use it on the sky for a long time. Before NASA halted its search for alien life 25 years ago, its astronomers targeted communication signals that used a narrow set of frequencies. But after a decade of looking, astronomers were unable to find any sign of extraterrestrial life. Daily Star Online revealed earlier this week that former UFO investigators in the U.S. and U.K. have been ordered to halt their research over fears demonic aliens could be discovered. Well, that's perfectly acceptable. Nick Pope, former UFO researcher with the UK Ministry of Defense, said he faced several pushbacks over the controversial investigations. He said, "I was aware that Pentagon pushback on UFO research was in part due to the religious belief of those involved. It was an odd irony that UFO investigations were being hampered because some people's belief in God meant that they either didn't believe in the existence of extraterrestrial life or that they regarded UFOs and extraterrestrials as demonic."
And ladies and gentlemen, our final news story of the night. Supernatural News Desk correspondent Tim Dennis. Where is our final story taking us?
Our final story, Dave, goes to show you that, yes, eventually my two worlds will collide and I will find employment elsewhere.
What?
Dave, I get a good chuckle every once in a while at these stories, and I don't see where this next person is going with their career. But hell, why not? WWE star Lita is hosting a new show, Dave. It's the UFO show.
The faux show?
The faux show. And it premieres today.
UFO show?
The UFO show.
Oh, very cool.
Lita is trading in grapplers for aliens. Actually, she just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So really, she hasn't grappled in quite a while. She's actually been rescuing animals. She's been doing some good work out there.
Good on her.
Yeah. But she's hosting a UFO-themed series called the UFO Show. Which premieres today. She still probably won't see anything as weird as what she's witnessed in the wrestling business, and there is some weird stuff that happens backstage. But according to Punk Rock and UFOs, WWE Hall of Famer Lita is hosting a new series which premieres today. It's called the UFO Show, and a 3-episode series is hosted by Lita using her real name, Amy Dumas. The show can be watched on ASY TV on its website or with a Roku device. Dumas says this isn't going to be an alien hunting show, thank God. Don't expect her and her team to actually prove the existence of extraterrestrials, as they shouldn't. Rather, it's about a group of like-minded individuals visiting various alien hotspots, which Dumas describes as a human interest show. Dumas and her group will be on the road, stopping at every alien-themed roadside attraction that they come across. There's something about that road trip that just sounds really fun, so watching the series will be a nice way to experience that vicariously. If you have an interest in alien culture, then the UFO show would appeal to you. For a peek at what's to expect, you can check it out yourself. She said, "I had the privilege." Actually, it's the it's the person who wrote the article. "I had the privilege of meeting Lita, otherwise known as Amy Dumas, at the Horror Hound weekend in Columbus, Ohio, and said she was really nice. It's $2.99 a month. ASY TV is, and you can subscribe at their website, ASY TV. So,
very cool.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. A lot of supernatural news. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's time for Parashare. Your stories featured next on Beyond the Darkness.
The hit true crime series, Murder Made Me Famous, is now on Podcast One, showcasing some of the most notorious crimes imaginable, including Scott Peterson, Jodi Arias, Ted Bundy, and more. See how murder made them famous. New episodes starting every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, as well as PodcastOne.com and the Podcast One app. And check out the new season of Murder Made Me Famous starting Saturday, April 14th on the Reels channel.
Hey this is Chris Jericho inviting you to the first ever rock and wrestling Rager at Sea. Picture this: rock and roll, wrestling, comedy, live podcasting, all on the open ocean from October 27th to the 31st, 2018, from Miami to Nassau. I'm bringing Hall of Fame wrestlers, some of the greatest rock and roll bands on the planet, and putting the first wrestling ring on a cruise ship ever. Don't be a stupid idiot. Make the list. Check us out at ChrisJerichoCruise.com.
Beyond the darkness.
Hello, welcome back to the show. It's time now for Parashare, one of my favorite times of the week. Hi, Dave and Tim and Tim and Dave. Oh, look at that. That was very politically correct.
Yes, it was.
Covering us in every angle. In 2004, our eldest daughter, Abby, was diagnosed with patent ductus arteriosus, PDA, which is a minor heart defect that exists by the failure of a blood vessel called the ductus arteriosus to close after birth. While non-life-threatening, this condition necessitated surgery to close the vessel. And in the spring of 2005, just after her first birthday, Abby underwent the procedure at Children's Hospital at Frodhart in Milwaukee. While we were assured by her cardiologist that it was the most easily fixed of heart defects, we were still understandably nervous when the time came and the nurses carried our little girl off to be prepared. We spent much of the next 2 or 3 hours wearing a trail between the waiting room and the exterior of the building where Sarah could have an impatient cigarette. Each time we came in from her smoke, we would pass through the lobby where there would be a number of people in varying states of activity. The first 2 times went without anything out of the ordinary occurring. The third, however, was a bit different. Throughout the room, there was a wraparound cushioned seats at the large support columns that extended up to the ceiling. As we walked, I happened to glance at one of these such arrangements of seats that we were going to pass to our left. The seat was playing host to a middle-aged man and a handful of playful kids that were using it as a jungle gym and trampoline, but it was the man that piqued my interest. As I focused on him, I found myself experiencing the curious sensation of time slowing down that so many of us do in times of importance. He was dressed somewhat peculiarly. How do you say that, Tim? Peculiarly.
You're asking me?
That's a weird word. Yeah, I got it. He was wearing a very 80s ensemble that included light-colored canvas shoes, blue and red striped tube socks pulled up over the calves, cut-off jean shorts, and a form-fitting orange T-shirt that had stripes on the cuffs in a darker shade of orange and a design across the chest that I imagined should have had a phrase or a brand name on it, but instead it did not. It had no such thing. He appeared 40-ish, with male pattern baldness beginning to take over his brown head of hair, and sported a Franz Josef-style beard. Think of Sean Connery in The Man Who Would Be King. He also seemed to be completely oblivious to the ruckus and the raucous youth that threatened to inadvertently fall into him. Instead, he leaned forward with his elbows on his knees, his hands clasped, staring intently past us. His eyes were what struck me most. No, not in an attractive sense, but one of familiarity, and I began to get the strong feeling that I had seen them before. Actually, that I had seen this exact person before. He did not blink once, not even when we broke his field of view, as he walked by and did not even waver in focus or intensity. I did, however, when I looked away to contemplate the possible relationship between myself and this mystery fellow, not taking long to realize that I had bizarrely seen someone like this in a picture at Sarah's grandparents' house. I turned back, and the man was gone. It had all taken a matter of seconds, but it had felt like a solid minute to me. Sarah, who was at my side the entire time, acted as though nothing was out of the ordinary. She was too focused on our daughter's situation to mind much else. So I quietly tucked the notion to check up on my hunch away in my mind for later, and I didn't mention it. The surgery was a success, and after spending time with our sedated child in the ICU, we left for Racine, where we all lived at the time. I made it a point to stop by her grandparents, and once there, made a beeline to the wall-mounted photo collage I knew I had seen, and there was a man appeared in it. At the photo collage I knew I had seen. their man in and peered at it as Sarah went with her grandmother into another part of the house to visit. It was an older photo from around the mid-1980s, but there, looking exactly as I had seen him only hours earlier, was the face of the man I had seen in the hospital lobby. Dumbstruck, I jabbed a finger at it as my jaw dropped and the hair on my neck straightened. Who is this? I called out. What? Sarah replied from the other room. This guy, I said, poking the photo as though she could see it. Who is this? The pitch of my voice began to rise like the hair on my neck, my excitement evident. Both women came into the living room where I was and again asked what the fuss was about. This guy, I repeated, showing my future wife. Who is this? She looked but turned back to me, confused. What? Well, that's Rocky. Why? Rocky was her oldest uncle who had passed away in June of 2003 from pancreatic cancer 9 months before Abby was born. I knew it. I saw him, I exclaimed, goosebumps erupting all over my arms and legs. I had only known the man for the last few months of his life, his hair having already been long gone from the chemotherapy by that point, so of course I wouldn't have recognized him right away. Sarah's expression of confusion didn't relent. What? I explained everything to her before I began to basically interrogate her grandmother about the clothing I had seen Rocky wearing, if he had indeed owned them. The shirt, the socks, the cutoffs, everything was answered in the affirmative, and an astonished smile began to spread over her face. Oh my, the older woman beamed. I asked Rocky to watch over that little girl, and by God, he did. This would not be the last time I would see Rocky, as our paths would cross again a decade later, but that would be another story for another time. And that comes from John the Tease, Tim. John the Tease, I tells you.
Aw.
See how they do that?
I see how they
I've got another story, but you don't deserve it, Dave and Tim and Tim and Dave. All right, hold on a second here. Apparently he sent it to me twice. So I'll erase the second one. All right, here we go. Hi, guys. Really love the show. Oh, there's a nice neutral opening. Hi, guys. Love the show. Been listening for quite a few years. My name is Steve from the Netherlands. A few years ago, I was sitting between two houses. I had sold my first house and bought another house. The new house needs a lot of construction and renovation. So my friend offered me to live with him for a month or two. Very happy that I do not have to sleep in the dust and can take a shower in the morning, I said yes. Quickly put a few things in his home, bed and my laptop and some studio gear. So 3 days later, we went to work in the house. It went well, but as you know, there's always something wrong when you're doing construction. There was some delivery problems. So work was at a standstill for 2 days. And it's weekend. And believe me, I really needed to chill and have some fun time for myself. My friend, who where I was living for almost a month now, had the same hobby. We produce music. And now I had 2 days to do that. But first, I slept for 13 hours. Oh, boy, that sounds exciting. I'd like to try that, Tim. 13 hours. It was the best sleep of my life. I always work at night when I make music. I love the vibe of the night. It's quiet and no one bothers you. At least I thought. Everyone was asleep in the house. I sat with my back to the hallway where my dog was sleeping. He's a bulldog, and he is lazy. I've never seen him run. But that night, he shot past me into the kitchen. I chuckled and said, "What are you doing, boy?" But when I looked where he came from, I got the shock of my life. I nearly fell off my chair. I kicked my laptop from my desk and my headphones flew across the room. At the door was a solid black shadow looking at me. I stood up from my chair and walked backwards into the kitchen and pressed the light on. Not losing sight of him, I say him because it is a figure of a man. My dog was in a panic and was still in the kitchen. I wanted to leave but could not move. If I wanted to go upstairs again, I had to pass that thing, and then bang, on the wall next to me. What I did next, I had to regret today. My mind was made up. I grabbed my dog, I take 3 steps forward, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath and walked to the door. That moment, I felt the cold air, and it went right through me. I felt the chill all the way down to my bone. I ran upstairs, kicked the bedroom door open where my girlfriend was sleeping. She jumped up and asked what was going on. I told her the story and said, "We have to leave here." My girlfriend looking at me like I'm a lunatic. Needless to say, in the next couple of days, I quickly made a room in a new house where we could sleep. Thanked my buddy that we could stay there, but it was time to go. He asked, "Why? You're not done there, and you're welcome to stay here till your house is done." So I told him what happened. He looked at me startled and told me his story. He had once fallen asleep on the couch. When he opened his eyes, he saw standing before him. When he closed his eyes and opened them again, it was gone. He told me that he thought it had just been a dream. In the weeks that followed, I felt that thing. I was dark and easily angered. It's not how I am. It felt like it pulled 10 years of my life. It really messed up my life and my mind for a few years. Not much later, my friend became a drug addict and sadly died alone on an overdose. And I've always wondered, was it that thing that got to him? I know it gave my mind a breakdown at the time. Thanks for the show, guys. Greetings from the Netherlands. And that is Steve. Well, thank you, Steve. Thanks for listening in and sharing your story.
Yep.
From the Netherlands, Tim. Are you ready for this next one?
Ready.
G'day, Dave. ... And Tim.
Oh,
see, you weren't forgotten. I've only listened to your show for a couple of weeks and happened to come across it by chance when I was looking for my next lot of podcasts to listen to. And boy, am I glad I did, because I'm totally hooked. I've never been closed-minded when it comes to the paranormal, but at the same time, it has never been something that has really been discussed amongst my family and friends. This event I'm about to share with you takes place only a week after I began listening to your show, and I wonder if it did occur because I've opened my mind to the paranormal more. It was the weekend, and my wife and I were at home having some lunch. We have a newly built home, only 3 years old, so I've never worried about it being haunted. My 2-year-old daughter, Annabelle, yes, I'm aware of the scary movies, was asleep in her room. When she sleeps, I turn the baby monitor on so that in the event she calls out, we can see and hear her. Halfway through my lunch, I had a quick look at the monitor just to make sure things were okay and that Annabelle was settled. She was. About 5 minutes later, I hear music coming through the monitor. It's the same music that plays when my daughter's jewelry box is opened, and that little ballerina spins around. It stopped after 1 or 2 seconds, and I pretty much just ignored it. A few minutes pass, and I hear the music playing again. This time, the music is louder and lasts longer. My wife says, "Is that coming from Annabelle's room?" To which I reply, "Yeah, I think so." We both look at the screen on the monitor, and the picture shows Annabelle fast asleep in her bed. I thought to myself, maybe the monitor has frozen and she's actually awake playing with that jewelry box. I get up to have a look, and as soon as my hand gets next to the door to open her bedroom, the music stopped. I turned and looked at my wife to see if she could see anything different through the monitor. She just simply shook her head. I opened the door, half expecting to see Annabelle awake and playing with the jewelry box, but she was fast asleep. The monitor wasn't frozen at all, and the music box is well and truly out of her reach. She is typically a light sleeper, and something like this would have woken her up on a normal day, so I'm left wondering if the music was only playing through the monitor. This is the first time anything like this has ever happened. It creeped me out so much, it actually gave me chills all over. I brought it up with my wife a couple days later, and she told me she simply doesn't want to talk about it again. Keep up the great work, guys. I thoroughly enjoy your show, and that's Ryan from Australia, where they drink Rougarou, Tim, and that's Australian for beer.
It truly is, yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say this. Go ahead. I'll let you go on.
I'm wondering what's Australian for whiskey.
Rougarou. It's Australian for beer and whiskey. Here's my thoughts. Ryan, you might want to just check with some neighbors in the area to see if any of them might have a child or a jewelry box like that, because you may have been picking up some crossover, some bleed over from another monitor in another house. That would be my first thought to check into. Thoughts, Tim? Thoughts? I ask you, do you have any thoughts?
At this time, no, Dave, I do not.
Well, fine. I see how you are. All right, let's see. I got some more stories to read here. Some of them, they don't want me to give their names. Here's one. Hi, Dave and Tim. In 2008, my husband, now ex-sister, fiance, passed away suddenly from a stroke. To help his sister financially and emotionally, we decided to move to Deltona, Florida. One evening, about a week before Halloween, his sister went to a Halloween party, and we decided to take the kids to a cemetery for some pre-Halloween thrills and chills. There were no unexplained oddities that evening, so we walked around a bit and then returned home. Finding his sister home, when we arrived, we sat outside with her and had a cup of coffee. She was rather inebriated, and the kids settled into the living room to watch television. About 10 minutes after returning home, 2 of the kids ran outside screaming that the TV was acting weird. Questioning them on what they meant by weird, they said the TV was turning itself on and changing channels. Being so close to Halloween and my kids knowing my interest in ghosts and goblins, I assumed they were just trying to play a prank on me. I told them to calm down and come get me if it continued. The adults carried on with conversation until about 10 minutes later, when all 3 kids came running outside telling the same TV story that it was acting weird. I could see this time the fear in their eyes and knew they were not playing a prank on me. My ex-husband and I went inside to the living room. His sister went to bed as she was still quite intoxicated. She was asleep within 5 minutes. As soon as I walked into the living room, the cable box turned on and off immediately, and then it back on again. Still unsure of what was happening, I asked the kids for the remote to the cable box. They willingly gave it up. As I was about to sit down, the cable box turned off and immediately came back on. It was at this point I became intrigued because I had only cable remote in my hands and had not touched any buttons. I asked out loud if someone here that wishes to speak with us. The cable box turned off and immediately back on. I set parameters to answer questions. Turn the cable box off and back on if the answer is yes. Do not turn the cable box off if the answer is no. And change the channel on the cable box to correspond with an answer involving a number, such as age. Wow, this is deep protocol going on here, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I asked if they understood how to answer, and the cable box turned off and on. I continued asking random questions, all of which were answered correctly. I would repeat questions at random points throughout the encounter for verification and always got the same answer. When I asked what his or her name was, the channel changed to the movie Jacob's Ladder. It answered the same when asked again at a random time for verification. This continued for about 45 minutes. By the end of the session, the responses were coming slower and slower. I asked if they were tired, in which they responded yes. We said goodbye at that point. At one point during the encounter, we asked if my husband's nephew's father comes to visit. He had died several years prior. The answer was yes. We asked how old his father was, and it changed the channel to correspond with an answer. This was the only answer we could not verify was correct that evening, as his nephew was unaware if it was his age at his death, or would that be the age had he lived. The next morning, we asked my ex-husband's sister, before telling her anything about the encounter, how old her son's father was when he passed away. The age was the answer we received. Thank you both for your time and dedication to your fans. We love your show, and that's from Christy from Oklahoma City. Well, thank you, Christy. Interesting.
Very interesting.
That's a lot of protocol. Turn the channel here, and that's got to go scroll up and down. I have a hard time with the guide. How the hell are the ghosts getting through that?
I don't know. They're pretty complex.
Yeah, they are. All right, what's up, peeps? Here's another Parashare story for Tim to heckle. Wow.
Who says I heckle?
Dean. Every so often,
Wow.
My friend and I like to pretend we're not out of shape by doing something that should only be attempted by hunky young bucks in body spray commercials. It used to be a rock climbing up a cliff face in 100-degree weather, or rock creeping, as I like to call it. Other times, we drive out to Death Valley and hike through the sand dunes for hours, bumping into the crazy desert hippies that live out there. The most recent ill-advised trip was to the San Gabriel Mountains for a 3 a.m. hike. With a steep drop to the left and a steep slope to the right, using only dinky headlamps to light a narrow rain-slicked trail is enough to fray anyone's nerves. Now, add almost 40 pounds of unbalanced junk on your back, and you're begging for trouble. However, I was unnerved that night for a different reason. After half an hour of that slog, we approached a narrow stretch seemingly no different than any other kind, but I froze and reached out to stop my friend. He shifted from annoyed to worried when he saw me staring into the darkness ahead. I was afraid because I knew what was there. I picked up a heavy rock and hurled it onto the trail ahead. The ledge there crumbled with a muffled roar and dragged more and more of the slope as it slid into the shadowed valley. In the end, only echoes remained. You're getting good at that special effects stuff, Tim. Good job.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with that button.
The scene played out much like I had seen in my dreams only hours before. After a few stunned beats of silence, we simultaneously turned around and trudged back toward the trailhead. My friend was almost relieved, but I was still afraid. I never told him why, and he stopped asking questions when he noticed I was carrying my machete in hand the whole way down. I'd like to think that the odd noises we heard on the way back were just animals disturbed by the landslide. I'd like to think that the hideous creature I also saw in my dream hovering hungrily over us as we lay crumpled on the ground doesn't exist, but I can't say for sure. All I know is that you can only push your luck so far before it pushes back. And that comes from Dean X. I don't think there's much to mock in that story. That was a pretty good, creepy story.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim. Mock away.
I'm not mock. See, Dean, you threw in phrases like dinky and junk and slid, and I didn't mention one word.
All right. Hi, Mr. Schrader and Mr. Dennis.
Oh, wow. What is this, a tax assessor? What?
First off, I'd like to say I'm a huge fan and have been listening to you since your radio show. It took a bit of work to listen to it up in Toronto, but it was always worth the effort. I first found out about it from one of your co-hosting stints on Coast to Coast AM. My daughter and I listen to your podcast and haven't missed an episode. We do have some paranormal stories to share with you, but my daughter is writing that up and she wants to send it to you herself. I heard you were in the city filming the Paranormal Hospital show, and I wanted to welcome you. Have you had a chance to go to the Keg Mansion on Jarvis Street? It's one of the best restaurants in the city and also one of the most haunted. Hope you have a chance to check that out. It's at 515 Jarvis Street. We did. We went by there and unfortunately it was closed when Grace drove me over there. She says, no, I'm not associated with it all, but it's just a great haunted place. If you go to the second story washrooms, it's a very common occurrence for the toilets to flush on their own, Tim. Toilets flushing on their own. Oh, my God, the humanity!
You know what's nice, though, Dave? When they flush on their own and you're sitting on them, it's kind of like an automatic bidet. Just saying.
And the stall doors open and close on their own as well. See, I wouldn't like that. You know, when you're getting down to business,
yeah.
I have performance anxiety enough. Right? I don't want I don't want doors swinging open when I'm in the midst of dropping the kids off at the pool.
Oh, right.
That unnerves me.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Although if you're going to get the shit scared out of you, you're sitting in the right place for it, I guess.
That's a good place.
Yeah. The door swinging open and closed and open and closed. That's unnerving. And you know what's even more unnerving? Ghosts that hang out in bathrooms. Are you going to be one of those, Tim? Are you going to be the dookie ghost that'll hang out in the johns and play with the toilet paper roll while people are sitting there trying to have a poop?
No, although I did hear a very interesting road story yesterday from Ian the X-Man Xavier about King Kong Bundy, who actually, when he was when the X-Man was sitting on the old duker, King Kong Bundy actually did lean over a stall and watch him drop one.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he was getting ready for a show. And,
I like your style, kid.
It was kind of like that. Yeah, actually, that's kind of what
I didn't need to know.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the odder wrestling road stories.
Can I go off on a strange rant?
Sure, go ahead.
Why is it, Tim? Why do you think it is? When you're in the bathroom, in a stall with the door shut, nobody was in there, you were in there by yourself, and then somebody else comes in, why do we stop what we're doing? Why do we clench? I mean, they know what we're in there for. We're not fooling them when they see our feet on the ground and our pants around our ankles. Why do we? Is it like something like we're a deer in the headlights, or we're in Jurassic Park? If we don't move, no one will know we're doing it.
I like to call it the Jurassic poop moment because
is it?
Yeah, because you freeze and like if you're very quiet, like they'll move by and they won't notice. Yeah, almost like you're being stalked by
the velociraptors are outside each one of the stall doors.
Right.
And if they hear the splash,
yes.
If they hear the splashdown, then you're done. Yep. Is that what it is? There's that internal fight or flight moment.
That's exactly
what it is. That it could be a serial killer looking for somebody pooping.
Yep.
And if they find one person pooping, their life is over.
You got it.
Yeah. I like to start a sing-along. I wait till all three stalls go, and I go, hey, guys, join in if you know this one. Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. Sometimes they join in. Other times police are called.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to this story as we digressed for a few moments. It's really unsettling when you hear it happen in the stall beside you. Yeah, when you're in there and all of a sudden the doors just start opening and slamming.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah,
and it's just not nice. It's not good protocol, ghosts.
No.
Knock it off.
Yeah.
We also have another well-known haunted Chinese restaurant in the corner of Spadina and Baldwin. However, that location's been torn down. Once the actual restaurant shut down, they kept the place boarded up as the haunting was apparently too much. My daughter has just told me that I can include the stories from our Kingston trip, so I'll include that here for you. My daughter is in the cadet program. She was stationed at Fort Henry during the summer of 2016. My wife and I went to visit her for a weekend. We thought it'd be fun to go on the famous Fort Henry haunted walk tour. Everything was going fine, and our tour guide was doing great, keeping us entertained. It was an exciting walk straight from the get-go. We had our first jump scare when a bat got locked up in one of the barracks rooms and freaked out our guide and pretty much everyone else. Things went okay until we got to the bakery portion of the tour. My wife and I were walking hand in hand with our daughter in front of us. My daughter jumped to the side, and we felt little kids push my wife and I apart, as if running between us. Oh, by the way, guys, there were no kids here. As we're walking by, some of our group started screaming that they saw something walk by the far wall. We all thought, okay, this is a setup. We're all now staring down the walkway looking to see what's going on when a full figure floats by. Twice. As in, you would have thought it would turn around when it got to the end of the walkway and come back, except it floated by again, coming from the same direction. We really thought it was just some kind of setup. Our tour guide starts walking down the hallway to talk to the person to see what's going on. The current idea is that it's someone from another group that might have gotten lost. The one of us who saw it was floating, or that it had an oversized cloak to give that appearance. This is when we started to think, maybe this isn't planned. Nothing's there. Then the figure floats by again, coming from the same direction. This time it stops in the middle and notices our guide. The figure starts towards us, and our guide bolted. I've never seen anyone move so fast before. Our guide bolted right through all of us until she was outside in the courtyard. The figure? Gone. Crazy, right? Oh, we're not done. We're all freaked out and quite happy when the tour was over, and we were back on our way to our hotel for the night. All night long, we kept getting knocks on our door. The first time it happened, we went to go see if it was a kid running down the hall. There was a little league baseball team staying there as well. There was no one there. The knocking kept happening all night long. Neither of us got any sleep that night, and we were one of the first people to check out the next morning. We went straight to one of the many churches in Kingston. Go figure. It seemed like we had one on every block. And that morning, it seemed like they could use a lot more. And we just sat there for like an hour. We didn't escape the uneasy feeling until we were home in Toronto. That's our big Kingston story. I know the fort was featured on Ghost Hunters in one episode, and we can personally attest to its creepiness. Anyway, hope you enjoy your stay in our great city. This is from a few weeks ago. I know you weren't thinking of getting snow this close to the Texas border, but hopefully the weather will get better for the rest of your stay. And that comes from Mike. Hey, Mike, thanks a lot for sharing that story. And yeah, we look forward to hearing more stories from you and your daughter. And, I wish when I was in Toronto, I'd had a chance to meet you. But who knows, if I get back there, the hospital show seemed interested in bringing me back next season and maybe be one of the quote unquote experts to look at some of the footage and stories that they get. So maybe we'll do that. Looking at the clock, Tim, we are out of time. I want to thank everybody for sending in your stories, keeping in touch with us, and we will be back tomorrow. We're going to take a look at Tesla, Tim. Time travel, weapons of mass destruction, and the mystery surrounding Tesla and his death, and where did all of his work go? That's tomorrow with Tim Swartz here on the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.
Now ADT can help protect your family at home and on the go. Get started with ADT's best offer, an ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. A savings of $449. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service for 24/7 emergency response. Go to ADT.com/podcast today to take advantage of ADT's best offer with 36-month monitoring contract, easy pay and QSP. Early termination and activation fees apply. Additional charge for ADT Go premium services after 3/31/18. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com. Offer ends April 1st.
Identifying victims of a Texas school massacre. I'm Jackie Quinn with an AP News Minute. The family of a substitute teacher at Santa Fe High School says Cynthia Tisdale was killed. Tisdale loved to cook for family gatherings and leaves behind a husband of nearly 40 years, 3 children, and 8 grandchildren. Students describe the attack to KTRK-TV.
We hear boom, 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 and then everybody just started running, trying to make it to the safest place I could.
The 17-year-old suspect, Dimitri Pagarchis, went before a judge. More than 100 people on board a Cubana Airlines jet died in a fiery crash in Havana.
Lamentamos el hecho y también
Cuba's president offering his condolences. West Virginia senators are calling on the Trump administration to release a study on toxic chemicals DuPont used to make Teflon. They say it is a public relations nightmare. Excitement over the marriage of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I'm Jackie Quinn.